This is the first part of 5 videos that are going to walk through the CSE Activity 122 hack attack. Activity 122 in the CSE curriculum has several parts to it. It introduces a few different concepts, and it's important to understand these concepts in order to successfully complete the activity. The first portion of the activity talks about an API, or an application programming interface. Now, an API is a general term that's used in a lot of different ways or in a lot of different instances in computer science, but it basically is different code that someone else has written that you're going to use, that you're going to interface with your application. So it's understanding what the code is that we're going to use, what commands we need to send in order to be able to interface with it. In this case, it's going to be sending GET and POST HTTP requests to a web server that has some commands set up that are going to be able to allow us to post and retrieve data. It also is talking about a little bit about hacking in this activity. Really what it is that it's brute force cracking of a password, which is a simple numeric password that's going to be done through the application, through the App Inventor app in this project. So to start with the API, we're going to be using a service to be able to send and get HTTP requests. We're going to use the Rested plugin. You can get that for both Chrome and Firefox. I'll just use the Chrome one here. So going to the Chrome Web Store, installing Rested, and I get a little icon here that I can open up Rested in a new tab. So following the instructions in the activity, the first thing we need to do is connect to the server and create a user account. So you can see here one that says we have to use the https://cs-api.pltw.org and then /new user, and then put in the name of the user we're going to put in. So I'll go ahead and put it in here. I'll go ahead, I'll do Nolte test user 1 and send the request. And you can see I got an error. Now, why did I get an error? Well, the error I got was because I tried to do a GET request, which would be retrieving information. I need to do a POST request. So I'll switch to POST. I'll send that request, and now I can see that I have a success return. It says endpoint Nolte test user 1 successfully created. And then it tells me the stupendously weak password to clear the data is 9730. So I need to keep track of that information because I'm going to be using that later on. So let me go ahead and copy the username that I have. And also the password, which I'm going to need to remember. And I'll save those for later. Now looking back at the activity, once I have what's called an API endpoint created, I can then put information on that endpoint. So you can see here the next thing is posting a text string. To do that, I use the same URL, but now instead of new user, I just put the name of the user, and then the parameter $text equals, and then a message to post. So here I'll get rid of the new user, but then put a parameter $text equals, and then put in the text I want to post. This is my first post. And if I send this request, if it successfully takes it, it'll tell me that there is a string stored. And now if I want to put another one in, I can put another one in and send it. And I now have another string stored, and I can put as many in as I want. To be able to see those strings, though, we'll move on to the next thing, and that's doing a GET request. A post sends information to the server. We'd like to now get the information from the server. To do that, I simply use the URL with my username and then make it a GET request. So I'll delete all the extra stuff at the end, change it to a GET, and send that request. And now I can see I've got this is my first post, this is my second post, and if I would put more in there, they'd also show up as well. The next part is being able to vote on the post or increment a value on the posts. If we notice here, it says that the values are 0 and 0 for the first two, but we can actually put values on that if this was going to be used, for instance, for voting for things. To do that, the syntax is the URL, the username, and then /increment $ID and whichever item we're using. So I will do increment $ID equals and 1. And again, this needs to be a post request. So I'll send this request, and now it tells me that the count for that one is 1. If I do 2, the count for that one would also be 1. If I do it again, the count for that one would be 2. And as many times as I press that request, it'll increment that count. Now if I switch back to a get and delete the stuff I don't need, I can now see that I have values to those, 1 and 3, based on the number of times I send the increment. The last thing is being able to clear the endpoint, and that's where that password is required. So it's again a post, but this time it's got reset $password equals. So I'll do /reset $password equals, and now I have to find that password that I had before, 9730. And now as a post request, if I send it, it will tell me that the data for the endpoint is cleared. If I would have the wrong data or the wrong password and send it, it would tell me I have the wrong password. But with the right password, it will clear that. All right, that's the end of this section, and then we'll move on and look at how the app automates these tasks.